Hey guys, welcome to the video. We are back on the in-depth series, back onto the Tzeentch demons once again, and in this video we are looking at the Exalted Flamer and the Burning Chariot. While I commentate and talk about those particular units, I've got them painted up as I normally do. Unfortunately, I didn't manage to record how I painted these up. However, if you look in the top corner, I put a little card up. I've painted these almost identically to my Flamers of Tzeentch, which does actually have a video. So if you want to know how I've painted these, follow those techniques. It's exactly the same kind of approach, just on a slightly different shape model. So as usual, I'll be discussing points, power levels, statistics, how best to beat them, how best to use them, and the importance really to look at the keywords that come with these two models, as they do look like they're exceptionally common in their approach. However, there are two very critical changes, and I'll point those out in the video. Anyway, enjoy the photos. They're about a minute per photo, just so that the commentary then fits into the photos. So there are a number of photos, so please enjoy those, and I'll catch you at the end. So we're going to start with the Exalted Flamer first then, and as usual running through the statistics of this model. It has a move of 10 inches, a weapon skill of 3+, ballistic skill 3+, strength 4, toughness 4, 4 wounds, 3 attacks, a leadership of 8 and a save of 6+. It comes with a couple of different weapons really, so it comes with pink and blue Fires of Tzeentch. The blue one being the one of interest, as this is basically a mini las cannon. Has a range of 18 inches, heavy D3 shots, strength 9, AP -4 and does D3 damage. So you can see there that other than the range, the variable number of shots and the damage, it can be considered a bit of a mini las cannon there. It certainly fulfills a really good ranged attack, high damage, high strength weapon for the Tzeentch demons. If you get a bit close and you want to get into melee or into combat where you can still fire your pistols, it has a pistol D6 with a range of 8 inches, strength 5, AP -2, which is pretty good, a single damage, but more importantly it automatically hits its target. So a D6 auto hitting target, as well as in combat you get Tongues of Flame, which is the melee weapon. A strength of user, so it's strength 4, with a -1 AP and a single point of damage. So even close up, it's a pretty effective model. So let's get into the cool bits then. So its abilities, it's demonic with ephemeral form and demonic ritual. So in short, it gives it a 4+ invulnerable save from demonic for 5 up, ephemeral form for +1 to that, and demonic ritual, which means it can be summoned. With a power level of 4, that's pretty easy to call down onto the board if you're not running it in a regular detachment. Faction keywords, Chaos, Tzeentch and Demon, with other keywords of Character, Infantry, Flamer, Fly and Exalted Flamer. Few highlights out of there for me then. So Chaos and Demon means that it can be stuck into your regular Thousand Suns army, because it can be paired up with the Chaos keyword. Very importantly, it is a character. So a 4 wounded, high strength issuing movement of 10 model with the character means it cannot be targeted. So it is an ideal bubble wrap model for your horrors, for example, which if you see my in-depth on the Demon Prince, equally viable target is to bubble wrap your Exalted Flamer. Can't be hit, and you can screen it quite nicely. In addition to that though, the Fly keyword means that you can stick it up into combat with airborne units, and again that is a pretty effective thing to be able to do, especially with your automatically hitting strength 5 pistols. So all in all, a very effective model. It's one of the better models for your high output range within a Tzeentch demon army. It's definitely well good in my opinion. I can't believe I just said well good, but there we go, I did. So the effective range though of that mini las cannon though, with a movement of 10 and a range of 18 on that shot, it's a 28-inch las cannon kind of shot. Okay, the fickle nature of Tzeentch means that you are rolling a random number of shots, and it is a heavy weapon, so if you do move, your ballistic skill is reduced by -1, so you are hitting on 4s. But you can take your chances. This is where we get to the important bit really, in my opinion, is don't run one of these, run several. If you can, for 70 points, that's all they cost, it's just 70 points for an Exalted Flamer, you can afford to run several of these in an elite detachment and fulfill the detachment requirements for a Vanguard, for example. And you could spam these quite happily and have multiple D3 las cannons all over the board, all screened by very cheap horror units, causing all kinds of problems for your enemy player. And given at this time in the index for Chaos Demons, well, specifically for Tzeentch Demons, there are only 2 elite options. So you only have the regular Flamers and then the Exalted Flamers. That's your only elite fulfillment. So if you are looking to bulk out on your detachments, if you're going to look to go to a brigade style where you need 3 elites, then this certainly forms an easy way for 210 points to fulfill that without taking Flamers. I think that's a viable spend of your 210 points if you're looking for a brigade. Alternatively, if you want that extra +1 point with a cheap HQ, you could field 3 of these, and then you can fulfill that Vanguard detachment for the extra 1 point. Definitely a good way of doing it, and you only have those 2 options if you're not mixing and matching amongst your Chaos Gods, which of course Tzeentch wouldn't like. But what could be better than an Exalted Flamer, I hear you ask? No, I'm not hearing you ask it at all, actually. But the option of upgrading it by 1 power level to a Burning Chariot. The Burning Chariot comes in at 98 points, so this extra ability, or this extra upgrade in effect to your Exalted Flamer, it costs you 28 more points than a regular one. But what does that extra 28 points get you? Well, the Burning Chariot has a move of 14 inches, so you're gaining a 4-inch move. You're remaining with your ballistic skill of 3+, but you are dropping weapon skill down to just 4+. Strength remains at 4, but you do get an increase in toughness to 5. Very effective when a lot of weapons are strength 4 in this game, so that means that they're winning you on 5s rather than 4s, which is a pretty important statistic. The big one for me though is it comes in with 8 wounds now, so you are doubling the amount of wounds. You remain at the same number of attacks with a leadership of 8 and a save of 5+, so you actually get an extra save in there. But that's not really what you're ever going to be using. You're never going to be using the save of 5+, because exactly the same as the Exalted Flamer, you have Demonic Ephemeral Form giving you a 4+ invulnerable save, far more important. And we'll stick with the options and abilities before we come up to the weapon options again, because they're a little bit of duplication here. Has Demonic Ritual, so you can summon it. With a power level of 5, that's pretty effective and pretty easy to summon. It also comes with Irritating Chant, which means you can mount some blue horrors which are 0 points, even in match play conditions, 0 cost. Your opponent must subtract 1 from psychic tests made from enemy units within 9 inches of this model. So a little bit of a bonus there. I'm not sure how often you'll get to use that ability, but it can just be something to bear in the back of your mind. Faction keywords exactly the same as the Exalted Flamer, Chaos, Tzeentch and Demon. Keywords are Chariot, Exalted Flamer, Flamer, Fly and Burning Chariot. One big thing to worry about here though is it does lose its character keyword. So the big advantage of a regular Exalted Flamer is that it is a character, so it can be screened. When you put it on a Chariot, it can't. We'll spin back to the weapon options then, so you still remain with your fires of Tzeentch, so your blue and pink fires, which is exactly the same as the Exalted Flamer. So the heavy D3, mini las cannon, strength 9, AP -4, 3 damage, or D3 damage. Pink, with an 8-inch range, pistol D6, strength 5, AP -2, 1 damage, and auto hitting your target. Tongues of Flame, exactly the same as before as well. Because this model is mounted on a Chariot, you do get a couple of Screamers that are pulling that Chariot, and they get to attack in combat as well. I will cover Screamers in a separate video a bit later on, but for now, they get a Lamprey Bite. They get 2 Lamprey Bite attacks, and that's a strength 6, AP -3 and 2 damage. And then they get a further 4 attacks with Slashing Talons, strength 4, AP 0 and 1 damage. So that's an extra 6 attacks, giving the Chariot a total of 9 attacks when it's in combat. Now bear in mind what I did say earlier, it has lost a point of weapon skill, so it is only a 4+ this time with its 9 attacks, but that's still statistically slightly better than your 3 attacks at weapon skill 3. So it's not to be sniffed at in combat, especially with the pistol D6 auto hitting pink fires of Tzeentch. But for me, 28 points for that, I think it's a relative bargain. However, the big key for me is it does lose the character keyword. So if you're playing against a Burning Chariot, you can quite easily sit there and shoot it to bits. Okay, it does have a 4+ invulnerable save. It does come in with 8 wounds, which means it doesn't degrade like anything over 10 wounds. But for me, it becomes quite a relatively easy target. However, offsetting that for 98 points, it's not bad value. However, saying that, thinking about the two, I think the Exalted Flamers are definitely more efficient use of your points in your army, mainly because of that keyword of character. Not being able to be shot with that last cannon buried in amongst your screen units of horrors or any other units that happen to be nearby, you can always keep it behind your lines and just sit there and pink away, that's the wrong phrase, blew away with your mini last cannons. And bear in mind that the Exalted Flamer with its 10-inch move is still pretty quick. And with that move plus your 18 inches of the range of the weapon, you're going to get in range pretty quick. And alternatively, you can summon, and if you do summon, you can place him, you know, within 12 inches of a character that can summon, 9 inches away from the enemy, so you can put them in range really quickly, and they're really cheap to summon at only power level of 4 for an Exalted or 5 for a Burning Chariot. So those really kind of wrap up the strengths and weaknesses of both of these units. So there we go, guys, that wraps up another in-depth video on the Exalted Flamer and the Burning Chariot. In short, I think I prefer the Exalted Flamer on his own rather than Chariot. That character keyword is massive in this game, and if you want to protect your heavy hitting guns, that is probably the way to do it. Sacrificing some wounds, sacrificing some movement, but not a huge amount, to be honest. But to keep that model safe, it's going to stay alive longer, which means it should do more damage over your 5 or 6 turns in a game and be more effective for you. So my recommendation, not so keen. Well, I am keen if you play a bigger game and you need to fill out heavy support, for example, Burning Chariot. But in most cases, the Exalted Flamer is definitely the way to go if you need that heavy hitting firepower. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I shall catch you again soon.